guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode. And I'm really delighted to have today's guest, Mariana Lacombe. And she is going to talk to the audience about wealth generation and how to generate massive wealth through your business, through the backdoor channels. We'll talk about shattering the income ceiling. And it's a really great business podcast. And I'm really delighted to welcome Mariana to the show. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your invite, and I look forward to sharing some insights with your audience as well.
Yeah, so I know we had connected through Podmatch, and so briefly talk about what you do, how you got there, and how the audience can benefit.
Yes, sure. Well, so currently I am a business advisor. My clients call me their ghost CEO. So I come into their business and I see what they're not seeing. I can see the blind spots and where the money's flowing that they're not seeing, where the money's not coming from, where their resources are being drained, like their energy, their time, their finances, and I plug those holes with them. So that's why they call me their ghost CEO. And I started doing that, well, decades ago when I went through a massive moment in my career where I was burning out so badly that I had to stop. I hired a coach, I hired someone that could do some CPR in my career and my energy. And then since then, I've been dedicating my life to helped me so much. And then I already came from a personal development career, so I knew that there was a better way of thriving in a career, especially a career that's service oriented. Right? If you're born a servant, you will want to do something for others. You want to save others in different ways. And then I found that servants are way more exposed to burnout, to exhaustion, to chronic fatigue, and by healing myself, I could then serve others. And then I found that money is a big component to this equation of burnout. We have to receive properly to be able to feel satisfied with our careers. So that's what I do in a nutshell.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And like I said, this is, bread and butter topics for the audience. And so, one thing is talking about is, the blueprint for generating massive wealth. And, secret, what I'm always interested in is secrets normally reserved for the elites that you can implement today. What is that?
Yes. Yeah. So one of the things that I do always with my clients is to understand exactly this relationship between giving and receiving that's so out of balance in so many different careers out there. And ultra wealthy people, they know their worth. They know their value. They know the value of their time. And every time they're using their time for something, they're using time to create value for themselves or for others. They're very, very intentional about their time. And that is really important because if you're using your time, which is the only democratic resource in the whole world, right? We all have exactly the same amount of time as long as we are alive on planet Earth, right? It's the only resource that's equal to everyone. If we're using that resource to do things that are, how can I say, that are less than your worth or that are simply a waste of it or whatever that is, right? You really simply don't generate wealth. So ultra wealthy people are very mindful of even the decisions that they make. You can see clearly some very wealthy people that actually dress up exactly the same way every day. Why? Because they don't want to be wasting their time with that type of decision. They want to open their wardrobe and they know exactly what to wear, or their food is exactly the same. Or actually, they hire people to cook for them so that they don't have to think about cooking or cooking itself. So they're very mindful of their time. So I think this is one of the main secrets that wealthy people share. And some of them talk about it, but very few people actually implement those changes in how they use their time. So That to me is one of the secret sources of building wealth, to be mindful of your time and the value of your time. So everybody that works with me, one of the first exercises that we do, checking the numbers, tracking the numbers, is to find your hour value. So what is your hour value? It is not your hourly rate or your hourly fee. That's not how much you charge for your hour. It is the how much your value, your hour is worth. So you basically get your revenue for the month and divide that by how many hours you worked that month, with clients, with patients, without clients, without patients. However, the amount of time you needed to run your business, you actually check in your hour. You're going to be very impressed by it. You're going to have some good news or bad news. Bad news is when you see your hour value being much lower than your hourly rate. That means a lot of your time is spent on things of low value. So things that are not even as valuable as your service. So you got to check in on that. And maybe your hour value is higher. So that means that you have the capacity to actually do more with your business, right? And you're in a great spot. So I always check in with my clients, and the goal is to keep doubling that hour value, because that means that every hour dedicated to whatever you want to create is generating actually more value. Does that make sense?
Yeah, really makes sense. And like I said, it's kind of really when you talk about the greats, they always talk about fundamentals, and these are one of the fundamentals is the value of your time and how you spend your time. We can get into fancy things like stocks and real estate, but really it's just comes down to the value of your time and who you associate with. So which is really interesting. So kind of moving on, when the next thing is that's really interesting, your hourly rate versus what you generate in that month, and that tells you kind of the mismatch. So then once you find that, you talk about shattering your income ceiling, pocket more of what you earn and scale to seven figures or more. And then you talk about, people that have been spinning their wheels at the same income level for years. So how do you do that?
So let's say in the context of physicians and people in this space. Unfortunately, this is like the type of industry that has so many broken systems in place, and also it's an industry of service. That means it's very exposed to extra hours, overworking, giving more than what than you should, right? Because this is an industry where only servants choose to be part of. Whoever is not a servant is not going to sign up to be a physician or to be, any like a coach, or an advisor too. They're not going to want to do that. Truly take control of the rules of this industry and create your own. Sometimes you have to break free from industry patterns and industry systems that are broken and create your own. So I've worked with many physicians that actually decided to create their own offers or their own programs, or just to be able to provide something of unique value and massive value for their patients, so that only they could actually solve the problems that they signed up for, but the system doesn't allow them to solve those problems anymore because it's so broken, it's so messed up. So sometimes you have to break the mold to create your own, right? You have to break free from those things, and that is how you really change gears. Because if you keep accepting how the system works or allowing that to run your life, you're gonna get the same over and over again because you're out of control. So I really love when, and I'm not sure if this is something for your audience or how they think, but when they actually break free from these systems and they decide to have only private clients, or actually create specific offers to really add value to the patients that they have, or they find alternative treatments to support people with conditions that are not finding a solution in traditional ways of getting support. So I believe that people can absolutely disrupt any industry when they have a great idea, and especially if that idea is about serving others, it's about adding value to people.
Yeah, which is you're talking about building a unique brand, you can like a doctor can, do bread and butter, but if they can for example, I have a colleague, she's a psychiatrist, but she's actually very focused on helping Olympic and elite and NFL athletes, and that's kind of her differentiating factor. So, and then I know you come from the Tony Robbins school, so a lot of very focused and kind of niche. You kind of have the basic skills, but then you branch out and specialize in something. So, with this, the next question is, I like these just kind of quick, what are three tips you would provide to a business owner to increase their profits?
Great question. So, number one thing is to truly acknowledge your value, because wealth is about worth. It's about worth. I recently posted about this, that your net worth is a reflection of your self-worth. As simple as that. So, why is that important? Because, like, again, the industry can somehow dictate your worth. Say if the industry is telling you that they pay $50 for a consultation, they're defining your worth when you know your worth is actually $5,000 for a consultation. You know what I mean? So that is the first thing. And how do you find your value? By acknowledging the change you create in people's lives and the cost that they have for not having you. So imagine a patient struggling with a challenge and literally write down the costs of not having you. So what are the costs that that patient is currently having to pay because they have that problem that you can solve, and multiply that by how many years you believe this person is going to be struggling with the same problem unless they have you, and add all the past expenses as well for having this problem for I don't know how many years before they found you. And you add that up. I'm pretty sure, like 99.99999% sure, that you're gonna find some six-figure numbers there, right? For sure. So that is the value. You gotta own that before moving forward. Then the second thing is to seriously increase your rates. I actually only work with service providers. Every time I'm working with them, one of the first things that I diagnose is that they are undercharging because they're not owning their value. And when you're undercharging, a few things happen. You resent your profession, you resent your patients, you resent yourself. You're not necessarily as well holding your patient accountable. So money does something interesting. It creates contracts with people. So when people invest in themselves, they are now signing a contract that they're going to do what they're telling you to do. If they have a perception that they are not investing enough to solve that problem, the probability that they're going to solve that problem will be very low. So many times we believe that undercharging is about serving other people, but when you undercharge, you're actually not getting really the commitment that you need from them.
Yeah.
So I believe that there is a balance there. There's a sweet spot where you're earning your value and then also getting the other person to be accountable, where like there is the place where those things meet. So that would be my second. And my third, it is to follow through with those things. I would say, get somebody that will hold you accountable, get expertise, get experts by your side to support you, because everything related to money and charging will tap into very deep beliefs about money, and people are very uncomfortable with this conversation, to have a conversation about wealth. I know you're a wealth expert too, so people have all these stories, especially when you're a servant, like it's wrong to charge, it's wrong to make money helping others. There's like we hear it all. So I would say doing this alone is tricky because you don't know your blind spots yet. You don't know where the root of your money conversation is. So having experts that are very comfortable with the money conversation and that will hold you accountable will make sure that this plan works. So these would be my 3 steps.
Yeah, I really love that, and it's interesting to view kind of money as a contract because I mean it's almost counterintuitive because one thing is like if you charge more, your clients get better. And, because whereas if you charge less, you get kind of really crappy clients. But what's interesting is I hear this objection all the time is like, for example, let's say you're coaching whatever service is like 10,000 or whatever. And then like for people that are starting out, how can they believe that their services are worth, 10,000, I mean, they have to get some clients under their belt, have results, So what is this idea of like, gradually increasing the rates or because you don't want to charge 10,000 and not deliver results for the clients.
Yeah. This is you got some really great questions. And I've worked with so many coaches, so many coaches. Here's what I have to say about this. As someone that also made that transition, that's why I told you my story. I was in corporate, burnt out, and then I became a coach. And when you decide to be a coach, we usually, like this happens to the vast majority of people, we want to solve the problem that we had. So it's almost like your offer is a mirror reflection of where you were years ago. And then now you want to pay for, like you want to pay back, you want to help others. Right? That's what I see. So, that was my story. When I wanted to become a coach, I wanted to help people that exactly like me. So, why am I saying that? Because to me, that is the only true leadership that there is. You walked the talk, you struggled, you went through the pain, you came out of it, and now you want to teach it. Now you want to master it. Someone once told me something so silly, I was like shocked. This person said to me, because I told this person that I love to teach. I love to teach. That's like what I used to say. And I'm not sure why this person told me this. She's like, oh, teaching is great. You teach because you don't know how to do things. So then you teach. I'm like, I think it's the opposite, at least in my situation. Like, I've been through that. I've learned it. I know how to do it. Now I'm going to teach. So I'm saying this because a lot of people, when they start to be coaches or they want to create a program or provide services for other people, they have that idea that they have to have a certain type of certification and hours of experience. But the true experience is your own. You walked the talk, So it's like, I don't know. You're not going to hire someone that never went through what you're going through. And if you are, you're going to pay less for that, So you're going to want to pay more for someone that knows exactly how you feel. And that will be your coach. Like that's what coaches do. That's why this profession is so valuable. So valuable because you have all the shortcuts. You went through the pain so that you could provide shortcuts. That's kind of what I do. That's my passion. That's why I love this. Like all the things I teach are things that I messed up. My first experience as an entrepreneur was a complete disaster. A complete disaster. Never again. Never again. After that, I dedicated myself. I studied a lot. I worked a lot. Never again. So I think I go back to the first step that I shared with you, which is to own your value. You have to go back and remember where you were before you found the solution to this problem and what you had to go through to actually find a solution to this problem. I'm 100% sure that there will be hours of dedication, many thousands of dollars trying to figure this out, multiple nights without sleep, relationships that maybe were broken. There was a lot of work. So when you decide to now offer your services as a coach, you're not starting from scratch, like by far. You have years of experience already, real experience in the fields, right? In the fields. So that story that coaches start from scratch is total BS to me because it's not true. That's what I think about this.
Yeah,
You know?
and I love your candor, and it's yeah, and I really love that it's like your self-worth and your time. I really enjoyed this conversation, and we'll have to have a part two or a webinar. And
Yes.
how can people find you and reach out to you if they want to work with you? We have a lot of female entrepreneurs in the audience. They're interested in coaching, so how can they do that?
Yes, absolutely. So number one thing is that I'm an open book. So you can find me in every social media. I would say mostly LinkedIn and Facebook are the ones that I'm very intentional. You know, I'm actually very intentional with these two platforms because I love to add value to people. I'm a servant myself, so I actually post daily content, original content every day. So that's a very easy way to find me. In addition to that, it's happening actually this week. I'm opening a free community for entrepreneurs in general that want to build wealth. So I love the money conversation, as you can see and feel probably. I'm very passionate about this conversation, and I'm very dedicated to changing the blueprint of money that we all have, especially as servants in the world. And I know you also have that cause of really helping people thrive financially. So I love to connect with people that have exactly the same cause to fight for. And and I think these are the easiest ways truly to find me. And my website is evolvewithquantum.com. You can also check it out. But simply just by Googling my name and finding me on social media is a really easy way to reach out.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love that. And for all the audience, be sure to check out all the links to Mariana's, give her a like and follow on our socials, reach out to her, check out her work. And again, I love the Tony Robbins School of Thought and Training and using your emotions. And thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.